Now, an even stranger story, this one to me is a tip-off that something's going on. And this is not in this Dallas paper, but in the old Fort Worth Register. There was a story of a railroad track inspector who it was getting late in the evening. He was about to turn back and head back to the city when he saw a bright light up ahead. And he went up to investigate, and he said there was a large silver cigar-shaped object sitting on the railroad track, and that there was some crewmen around in blue uniforms. And said the captain came up and talked to him and told him that they had to stop, make some repairs to their craft, and that not to say anything about this because they were on a secret mission. He said the craft was full of dynamite, and they were going to go bomb Havana. Now, for those of you who were not asleep in history class, you might recall that the Spanish-American War did not begin for another year. And that was only after the mysterious explosion of the battleship Maine in Havana Harbor. So what's going on here? Why would somebody a year previously, how did they know we were going to have a war with Cuba, with Spain that included Cuba? This may have to do with what John Spencer, who wrote the UFO Encyclopedia, calls cultural tracking. And this is that the inhabitants of these craft have the ability to mask themselves, cloak themselves, if you will, and give the appearance of the technology at the time. The fellow who was told that this was a device that had been developed in New York State was told that it ran by electricity. Well, of course, today that sounds pretty antiquated. But keep in mind, 1897, rural North Texas, they didn't have electricity. Only big cities had electricity, and it was still kind of a new marvel. And there's some support for this argument because early on, back in the 50s, when contactees were first talking about being taken aboard these craft and stuff, they talked about these rotary dials with numbers on them, okay? Because that was our technology. Today, we have people, experiencers and abductees, who say that they've seen these LED things like the watches and clocks we have today, because now we have that technology. So it's really kind of an interesting aspect of this whole thing. But I wanted to share with y'all the story of Aurora because it is becoming more and more documented in the tape about Aurora, and I apologize, this is not a Hollywood production. This was made on less than a shoestring, but the information is there, including interviews with people, descendants of people in Wise County who were there and observed what was going on. And of course, these are available, and like I said, you can get a copy of this front page. If you have friends and relatives that are skeptics and said, "Why, there's nothing there," show them the front page of the Dallas Morning News, 1897. One other quick thing, I just have to put in a little plug here. I don't have to remind you of the war rattles and the saber rattling that's going on today in regards to Iraq and also North Korea. I'd just like to quote you from President John F. Kennedy. And this was back at the time of the Cuban Missile Crisis, when people were actually pointing real missiles at the United States. Now, if there was ever an excuse for us to threaten war with somebody, that would have been it. Today, what have they found? A few empty artillery shells and some, you know. President Kennedy said, "The United States, as the world knows, will never start a war. We do not want a war. We want to build a world of peace where the weak are safe and the strong are just. We labor on, not toward a strategy of annihilation, but toward a strategy of peace." Think about that, folks. How far have we come? From a leader who epitomizes peace and the seeking of peace through strength, to a leader who says, if you don't like what we want to do, we'll just come kill you. It's amazing. Now, how many of y'all have heard of the mystery of Rennes-le-Chateau? How many of you really truly understand what that's all about? Stick with me. I think I'll help put this together for you. How many of y'all are familiar with the work of Zecharia Sitchin? Okay. Stick with me. I think I can tie this together for you. But first, we're going to have a pop test. Everybody got pencil paper number 1 to 10? No, you don't have to do that. How long did the 100 Years' War last? Anybody? 116 years. You get the gold star. 116 years for the 100 Years' War. What color is a purple finch? It's red. Okay? Which country makes Panama hats? Ecuador. Where does the term America come from? Ah, some of you all went to the same high school I did. Amerigo Vespucci, the Portuguese navigator, right, whose name became associated with this new world of America. Wrong. Bzz. No. That story came from a monk, German monk, who lived on the Franco-German border back in the 1500s, named Martin Walsemüller. And good old Martin, I don't think he probably ever got more than about 25 miles from his home in his life. But in about 1515, he got access to a printing press, and he wrote a book. And he knew that there was a new world that they called America, and he knew about Amerigo Vespucci. So he said, oh, well, it was named after Amerigo Vespucci. He later retracted that. But we don't get his retracting because it was in the book, and the book keeps going on and takes a life of its own, and this is what we all get taught. Now, the point of this is, most of what we think we know, we don't know. And it's wrong. And I just want you to keep that in mind. Because let me tell you something. Your mind is like a parachute. It works better when it's open. All right, now to try to hurry on through this. I do fine until I get up in front of people. I guess y'all make me nervous. You notice how nervous I am. Ruled by secrecy, the hidden history that connects the Trilateral Commission, the Freemasons, and the Great Pyramid. Now, I hate going to places where they put up something and then they read it to you. Hey, thank you, I can read just fine. But I do want to read you this first quote, and then I'm not going to read you the rest. You can read them for yourself. But this one, I think, tells the story. And this is not a conspiracy theorist. This is not Jim Mars's quote. This is Woodrow Wilson, a very powerful insider, an insider who was put into office by men connected to secret societies. He knew what was going on, and what did he write? Some of the biggest men in the United States are afraid of somebody. They're afraid of something. They know that there is a power somewhere so organized, so subtle, so watchful, so interlocked, so complete, so pervasive that they'd better not speak above their breath when they speak in condemnation of it. How much more do you want, folks? He's trying to tell us what's going on. Now, what I've done here and what I'm going to present to you all is a synthesization, easy for me to say, synthesization, a compilation maybe they're landing, I don't know, of more than 300 books. And what I'm going to be trying to show you today is bringing together two heretofore believed unconnected topics of research. And this is going to get interesting in the coming years because most of you have been at this UFO research game for a long time. And when you started off, it was most people just really laughed and snickered at you. Today, some of them still do, but some of them don't. Today, there's a rising and growing acceptance that there's something out there and that we're probably not being told the truth. Oh boy.